Baraton College ko tertiary institution nebo higher learning ne ikoito somanet ne ititaat ako ne nyumnyum lipanetab school fees. Ikoitoi courses chenamegei ak kasari che inyorune boisiet koketar. Ikoitoi ichek courses chebo artisan certificate, diploma, degree ak masters programs eng education, animal health and production, computer science and information technology, geriatrics nenoto ko professional caregiving, theology and psychology, business and technical courses. Tindoi mornok Baraton College eng Eldoret ak Kapsabet. Nai ile tesetai intake nguno. Asine jangi irutaji website eng www.baratoncollege.ac.ke anan go email eng baratonacademic@gmail.com. Imuchi kora ibir simet eng number 0714-486-039.
Over 1900 games brought us here, but history doesn't care about the journey.
The Premier League is the best league in the world.
La Liga is far and beyond the biggest winner.
It only remembers how it ends. We ball it. 8 titles. 1 month of mayhem to decide them all. Stay connected and watch GoTV to catch the football season finale this May. It's on.
Posten on Twitter, Insta, aginde Facebook. Kona ingwendoni gole impo wangu.
Tetutetab nene tisetai extra. Kotetutet negibun mixed moto played by one and only our baddest DJ Redmond.
Redmond, Ole Serem.
Watu kwa wale engasar tage ke toje influencers, tiktokers, social media influencers akchege tugul negase ko tindo talent ako meje ko batage eng mashabiki.
It become red flag. We were green flag and it did not help us with anything. Can we just
onge tuye engila Jumamos eng nene tisetai extra omitagana nde Jacqueline Aruse aliwatile mix ananchenwage ko moto chebutun one and only our baddest DJ. Get to you every Saturday in KASS TV.
Eng uitugulole imite atajin missing eng tetutetab kaskasari. Negibun kabaibaitetab kobun tienwogik cheterter cheu bongo.
Niko salama, sijui wewe uko.
Afrobeat, amapiano. Ak alak chechang missing. Keri lego tuye ak anenda cheroti chote kila Jumamos kong'etie sait 4 nebo karon.
Baraton College ko tertiary institution nebo higher learning ne ikoitoi somanet ne ititaat ako ne nyumnyum lipanetab school fees. Ikoitoi courses chenamegei ak kasari che inyorune boisiet koketar. Ikoitoi ichek courses chebo artisan certificate, diploma, degree ak masters programs eng education, animal health and production, computer science and information technology, geriatrics nenoto ko professional caregiving, theology and psychology, business and technical courses. Tindoi mornok Baraton College eng Eldoret ak Kapsabet. Nai ile tesetai intake nguno. Asine jangi irutaji website eng www.baratoncollege.ac.ke anan go email eng baratonacademic@gmail.com. Imuchi kora ibir simet eng number 0714-486-039.
Over 1900 games brought us here, but history doesn't care about the journey.
The Premier League is the best league in the world.
La Liga is far and beyond the biggest winner.
It only remembers how it ends. We ball it. 8 titles. 1 month of mayhem to decide them all. Stay connected and watch GoTV to catch the football season finale this May. It's on.
Posten on Twitter, Insta, aginde Facebook. Kona ingwendoni gole impo wangu.
Tetutetab nene tisetai extra. Kotetutet negibun mixed moto played by one and only our baddest DJ Redmond.
Redmond, Ole Serem.
Ibwate kora kole eng kasarta age ketoche influencers, tiktokers, social media influencers ak chi age tugul nekose kotindoi talent ako meche kobartage eng mashabik.
It become red flag. We were green flag and it did not help us with anything. Can we just?
Ongetuye eng kila Jumamos eng nenetesetai extra omitagane Jacqueline Arusei. Akiwatile mix anan chenwagik ko moto chebutun one and only our baddest DJ. Get to you every Saturday in KASS TV.
Eng uitugulole imite atajin missing eng tetutyetab KASS kasari. Negibun kabaibaitetab kobun chenwagik.
Chamge jitab kalenjin amang'ung'ui tugul ole imite koibaibai ak igere ketisiet nebo KASS TV itagat eng logoiwekab emet kigurena Jacqueline Arusei. Kaimonge chongindab kasubik chebo dinitab Islam ako boiboichi eng betutab rani igorta notok nebo Idul Adha ole eng county nebo Uasin Gishu kokaituyogei kasubik chotok bo dinitab Islam ako boiboichi igoratak eng kasaratak kokaikoito kurset kandoik chebo dinit notok kobun Uasin Gishu eng kandoikab emoni kokimit kalyet ak kibagenge.
Kong'ololdos eng taonitab Eldoret komwa kandoichotok bo dinitab Islam kondochin Sheikh Hussein Mohammed imam notok nebo Eldoret Jamia Mosque kole kokotestai kandoikab emoni ak ng'alalutik chotok cheibu sasisiet eng bororiosiek alak nesomei koistoegei notok kosubkei ak nebei biikab emet.
Anasema maneno ambayo sio sawa. Hata yeye akiambiwa mwambie maneno haya kwa mtoto wako ambaye ni miaka 7 miaka 10 hatomwambia. Kwa hivyo kwa nini unaisema hadharani maneno ambayo wewe mwenyewe hutaki kuambiwa na wewe mwenyewe hutaki kusifiwa? Kwa hivyo naomba viongozi wetu waheshimiane. Kama wewe unampinga kiongozi fulani, mpinge kwa njia ambayo kwamba inafikiana na sheria bila kukiuka nidhamu ya kijamii, bila kukiuka maadili mema, bila kutamka matamshi ambayo kwamba sio ya sawa. Tunataka boli itulizwe. Tunataka matamshi mabaya yaondoke kutoka kwa jamii yetu na kutoka kwa media yetu.
Kosubkei ak Kasim Swaleh agenge eng kandoikab dini notok korirtoi kandoik cheboto nekirubeyotab President Rigathi Gachagua ak sirindet neo nebo chamaitab UDA Hassan Omar akobo ng'alolutikwak chotok chebo konekit chemwoe kole nyolu eng kibagenge notok nebo NCIC kochikil ak koibchi kakwautik chekimen.
Kiongozi wetu Secretary General wa UDA alizungumza kwa njia ambayo haikufurahisha wananchi wengi na baadaye aliomba msamaha. Ningependa tu kuhimiza tume ya NCIC kuchukua njia ambazo zitawafanya wale viongozi wetu including the former deputy president ambaye kila wakati akizungumza inatoa dhana ya hate speech. So viongozi kama former deputy president na secretary general wa UDA kama hao ndio wanaongoza Kenya katika mazungumzo ambayo yataleta uhasama, tafadhali NCIC chukua hatua ili tusiende katika njia ambayo tutaona hapo mbele mwaka ujao tuwe na mambo ya vita, tafadhali.
Ng'alalutik chotok chekarop eut Mohamud Jama nemwoe kole nyolu konetegei kandoikab emoni emotinwek cheboto Somalia, Congo ak Southern Sudan amait kokon ng'alalutik cheu chotok ibei biikab emet ako ibu suriet.
Na mimi pia ningechukua nafasi hii kusihi ya kwamba Kenya iwe na amani. Tangu tumepata uhuru, tumekuwa na uhuru. Na ukitaka kujua mambo ya shida, angalia jirani zetu. Anzia Somalia, Ethiopia, Uganda, South Sudan, Congo. Sasa hatutaki kwenda pale. Tafadhalini viongozi, msianze kutoa hate speech, kutusi wengine na kupanga vijana kufanya fujo. Vijana wasifanye fujo, wasitumiwe kufanya fujo kuharibu nchi yao, wasichome nchi yao. Mkitaka maandamano, fanya maandamano ya amani na kila mtu atafurahia maandamano ya amani, lakini ile ya kuharibu mali au kuumiza wenzako, sasa inaanza hivi, baadaye itakuwa labda itaanza kuwa kabila, nchi inaweza boromoka. Si kitu rahisi, inaweza bomoka, ni rahisi kubomoka.
Kong'eteke taonitab Eldoret eng county nebo Uasin Gishu, logoiwekab emet chebo KASS, kainenyu ko Isaac Kogei.
En igorto nebo Eid ul-Adha nekakisuldaen en misikiti anan masjid nebo Longisa nekaindochi Sheikh Abdullahi Maritim ak Mustafa Maritim kokakicher kandoikab bolotet koker kole koistoengei ng'alalet neimuch koib terchinosiek en biikab emet.
Noni ko betut neo nekikuren Eid ul-Adha. Eid nekikokikochi Abraham alayhi salam asikokon karokutiet nekikimoche kiborchi en iman nekikako kotepto Abraham koywei kamuktoindet. Kikochi kelenji en kayanan neng'ung'et itindoi kotindoi uzito netya kele ikonon lakwani sanai ole tinye kayananaton nemuche koityi taitab kamuktoindet. Kokoitany lakwenyin Abraham Ismail. Ko kiingen kole kamuktoindet ko kitebe amu kikonu ako ngot komoe kowekta ko kimakoeten Abraham. So noton nyokeyai kabarutiet neo nebo kwong'ut kikoito kokochinet ne artet nekikokikochi nekanam sondit kele Abraham ngok niton amitwogik cheyome nekata artet.
Hii ni siku yetu ya furaha. Mnavyoona ni siku ya kukusanyika pamoja, kufurahia, kuomba pamoja na kuelekezana. So si kwanza hapa si mara yetu ya kwanza kukuja huku. Kawaida tumezoea kukuja hapa pamoja, kukaa pamoja, kuelezana dini. Unajua wanasemanga there is no boundaries among the Muslims. So you can just go anywhere and talk to people about the deen. So these people have been very kind to us. They have been welcoming us. So we have been brothers.
Kebwa ne betutab Eid. Amun en Uislamu, ala en kalenda nebo Uislamu, komiten betusiek aeng'u. Ala Eid sabarisiek aeng en kenyit. Noton nekobo Ramadan ak age nebo nguni nebo Eid ul-Adha, noton ketoi sacrifice nebo ng'alekab keengsen. Kou noton legacy nekibo Ibrahim. Noton ko kisibi legacy nebo Ibrahim nebo keengsen ak echek ak keselebraten kemi pamoja. Ko noton amune sikai kemiten kouni.
Ko ki dini anan ko ki viongozi chebo dini asome mising konyo kalyet ele mite biik matkeker ming'inotetab biik kele ko biik chemengechen anan ko ne chichoton ming'in ko kole makibire chito nge kole makibore chito makiwire chito akoita kalyet nekimoche akotil kura kit nekiwirtoen chito ko kura yon kaketil kura ko ngebir kura ko ibire nememoche isten kura ko yon nemoche ikoini en kura konam ng'echeret asikondoun kule maktoi lakini mamite kele kinyokikochi chichoton koik amu mi kura neo neter en age kergei kuraisiek tugul lakini kit nebo maana ko keripchi chitugul heshima nenyin. Chekikuren Chelsea anan ko viongozi chemengechen korib uongozi age nebo chito age akine sikotestai boisionik cheu choniton kole moktoi Waislamu.
Chek tugul kebwa en betutab Eid amun en Uislamu ala en kalenda nebo Uislamu komiten betusiek aeng'u. Ala Eid sabarisiek aeng en kenyit. Noton nekobo Ramadan ak age nebo nguni nebo Eid ul-Adha, noton ketoi sacrifice nebo ng'alekab keengsen. Kou noton legacy nekibo Ibrahim. Noton ko kisibi legacy nebo Ibrahim nebo keengsen ak echek ak keselebraten kemi pamoja. Ko noton amune sikai kemiten kouni.
Kaikochi kasubet ng'alalunoton Hassan Salat ak kandoik alak chebo misikiti nebo Bomet ole kaikimit ichek kole ripsetab president konyolu kikimit ak kekonyit ofisinyin.
Kalyet kemokyini emet kalyet. Kimwoin ot kora kandoindenyon kelenji matkoik inye nemi tai en pinganetabgei neing'olole biik chemengechen en inye. Ako momoe kora kewirtawit kora kandoik. Lazima kerib kora kandoik chendoiwech kong'eten MCA, kong'eten mjumbe, kong'eten akoi president. Akot tomut en kalyet ikere kora ile komatakomi kora ribet nemie ine president. Ako president ine korok konai kora biik kole makergei ak chito age tugul. Chito nendochin emet ako ndochin biik chechang. So moche akine kikoi heshima nenyin ak kerib ako biik cheribe akichek korib akine koribchi sobondanyin korok kotabalat tuguk chemwoe kotabalat chon kikolegei kerib kora sobondab president en ng'oyot age tugul amu makingen biik makergei biik yon bwone mau echek. So nyolu kerib ak kekon amani chitugul akichek ngo raia echek raia kikoi akichek keityi en oret nekararan. Singomi kora terchinet nemi komuche koter en yoton amun ribot chito en kasarta nekayamgei ako netindoo ribonoton.
Wenye wanahusika na tunaomba wale wanahusika kuanzia waziri na IG wajaribu kurekebisha hiyo maneno na isirudi tena. kwa sababu usalama wa rais ni jambo muhimu sana katika taifa. Ni usalama wa rais wetu, si mara moja, si mbili. Kuanzia Wajia, ilikuwa Migori, juzi tukaona Kilifi, maneno yanaendelea. Hiyo ni watu wanacheza na maisha ya rais na askari, ambapo walipewa hiyo kazi ya jukumu, na tushaona kuna mabadiliko yamefanyika, lakini usalama wa rais ni kitu ambaye ni muhimu sana kwa taifa. Kama rais mwenyewe hayuko safe, who else is safe? That is a question which has to be asked ourselves. That is the question which we are asking ourselves.
Eidulada ko igorto nekibwoti Ibrahim nekikoito werinyin Ismail koik konunotiot anan sacrifice nebo kamuktoindet ne noton ko kabarunet nebo kayanet neo nekitinye Ibrahim en kamuktoindet ne kiit kekuren ine kwandab kayanet. Kongeten county nebo Bomet, logoiwekab emet chebo KASS.
Kainenyu ko Festus Rono.
Kokimit sirindet neo nebo public health nerimudhoni kole tomo keborionji eng emoni ako kakimit kole tesetai serikali kokimiti tetutik tugul koker kole kakikirinda mionotok kobun tetutiet nebo ripset nebo kiwatoshek chebo komaletagei eng kasarta nekakiborionji eng emoni. Tesetai serikali kokimit tetutiet nebo konyor naet kanyoik ak sipitalishek ole kiroptoi ak kitabandai chi age tugul nekibwatyin kotinye kabarunoik chebo mionotok.
To arrest the fears because we still do not have any confirmed case in Kenya as at now. Yes, we have had samples that have been taken, but all that have been taken to our labs have turned negative. Again, we have also had a lot of screening being done at the border points. We already have more than 12,000 travelers that have been screened for Ebola virus, and more than 10,000 travelers that have been screened from the international scenes. Domestically, more than 2,500 travelers, and also another more than 2,000 who are also passing through various other border points. So cumulatively, more than 10 million travelers have been screened in our border points or entry points. And we will continue screening anybody who is coming into the country just to ensure that we are safe, and the people who are also entering our country. If you're coming from the high-risk countries, then we propose isolation for a period of time so that we are able to take proper measures on what should happen next. All laboratories now that can test for Ebola. National Public Health Laboratory. We have KEMRI Nairobi, KEMRI Kisumu, and mobile laboratories because we remain a high risk of importation of the same due to the positioning regionally where we are.
Kagomwa ofisayat neteleljin kirindaetab yatitaetab lagok che tibik ak kwonyik Nyerere kutwa kole takomite barak yatitaetab lagok che tibik ak kwonyik eng Baringo County ngekerchin ak counties alak che terter. Kamwa kutwa kole indoi Baringo counties eng counties 22 che takomitei yautik chotok po yatitaetab kwonyik ak lagok ole kamwa kole tesetai icheket ak kaitoetab kanetisiet koityi meng'ikab komasatak oret agenge nebo kekirinda yautyonotok.
Kosubkei ak kibagenge netinyegei ak kirindaet nebo yatitaetab tibik nebo anti-FGM board komwa icheket kole miten barak yatitaetab tibik eng Baringo County eng 22.2% eng koitet, noton koboru kole miten yatitaetab tibik koboto kwonyik barak eng Baringo County kekerkeit ak koitet nebo emet komugul, noton ko 20%. Kamwa neten Nyerere kutwa miten eng kibagengeit anan komiten eng board noton po anti-FGM board kole miten barak yatitaetab tibik koboto kwonyik eng Baringo County. Engin kamwa neten kole tokomiten kakwoutiet nenyolot kaya campaign nebo kirindaetab yaitaetab tibik eng Baringo County.
Takwimu ya ukeketaji nchini Kenya saizi kijumla ni 15%, lakini tunapata kwamba katika jimbo hili la Baringo ukeketaji asilimia yake ni 22.2. Kwa hivyo utapata kwamba asilimia ya ukeketaji katika Baringo County iko juu hata kuliko ile ya national, kuliko ile ya kitaifa. Na ndio maana Anti-FGM Board ambalo ni shirika ambalo limetwikwa jukumu la kuweza kujumuika na jamii na kusambaza habari kuhusu umuhimu wa kuacha ukeketaji na pia madhara ya ukeketaji. Tumeweka mkazo kuja hapa Baringo County, mojawapo ya county zaidi ya 22 ambapo tunafanya
Kosubia krongai lengele nenetin ko ngeng buryo nebo Elchamus koboto Elizabeth Langat nenetin ko teleljin kabagenge nenat ku Canadian Chepto Organization omonetin kole koto campaigns nebo ngolonji murenik koboto biik chetinyege ak ripsetab kalyet.
Tumekuwa tukiongea na wamama kwa sababu tumeona ya kwamba tunapokuwa hapa ajenda yetu ilikuwa ni moja, ni pamoja tukomeze ukeketaji, na tumegundua ya kwamba watu ambaye wanaweza kukomesha haya maneno ni wamama. Sisi wamama tunaweza kuleta change. So leo wamama tulikuwa tunajifunza ili tupate kuwa champions ya kukataa ukeketaji kwa wasichana wetu.
Yale ambao sehemu ambao bado inaendelea kufanya FGM ni kulingana na culture. Unapata kwamba mama anaambiwa kwamba wewe hautaenda kulaki mtoto wake anapoenda jandoni. Wewe hautakuwa na mamlaka juu ya watoto wako. Kwa hivyo unapata wamama wanapewa pressure na wamama wenzao na pia wazee, kwa sababu hata mzee anapokuwa na mke ambao hajakeketwa anaambiwa, hata kama ni kiongozi anaambiwa sisi hatuendi kwako kula chakula ya mtoto. Yaani kila mtu ile ambao hajaenda kukeketwa, hiyo ndio desturi wanaambia hatuwezi.
Kuger kole kageger ndako kuchinoto na kenam biik chetinyege ak yaitaetab tibik. Kongolane icheget kandoichoton tinyege ak kirindaetab yaitaetab tibik eng komostab Marigat. Ya ngutuye eng kokuchet nebo betusiek 5 nebo noton ko ngolonji bororisiek cheterter chemiten eng musiki Baringo County. Kongete komostab Marigat, Baringo South Constituency, Baringo County lo chebo KASS. Ane ko Tom Chipso.
Kagomwa MP nelel nebo Emurua Dikir kole jobat kotoi boisienyi ko membeatab kot neking'ate ng'atutik eng Emurua Dikir, ole kamwa kole wendi kotaune yaetab ortinwek amu yachen ortinwek chechang eng komasatak. Ng'ololi ak meng'ikab Emurua Dikir chekomite eng bunge kasarta noto kokiyosichin inendet, komwa inendet kole koboiboichi mising lewenet noto ko kilewen inendet ako tokchingei koib tetutikab bandab tai eng komasta nebo Emurua Dikir.
Yo, itu mai utano. Iko ane change ngao kinyo bonge ni kwa MD. MD ajinda kabisa. Abo kalo ke sign ni. Ke sign ni. Penda na wanatupenda kabisa. Kama kabisa ale kama bai tu enjoy ye kabisa dogo borgo kwa kuchube na ngwa kwa Emurua Dikir. Au kama chama ale kama bai tu saidi. Kage role uchamon ne baima ukiwa ngete yun agoi borani ko tia job yo no manu at hivyo amacha mo gunon alaga ne ogdole you have very high expectation and hopes to go by dollar line mo no tani ye ogdela no ayo e kasi ko wele kro ya dan no e kasi ko ga ma mutanga no le no ko le kasi se tu to mi to de tai ka cho bo bara no ko tilu no tai asiko na ko na tu be ne ba ni kwa it will never be business as usual kwa mwana kumye ole kana na tete le kage na kwa kwa things will change kama kabadilisha na Emurua Dikir, and I know with the support of our heshima tuko nao hapa tutafanya kazi nzuri.
Kitab kalenjin kakituk chotok emetab logoiwek chok chebo emet chekakemuch kebun kong'ete studio nebo KASS TV. Kongoi missing ak Brandon kaikonech iker logoiwekab emet. Kikurena Jacqueline Arusei ak amakun kit age tugul nemi.
Eng uitugul ole imite atojin mising eng tetutyetab KASS kasari. Nekibun kabaibaitetabkei kobun tienwogik cheterter cheu bongo.
Niko salama, salama, sijui wewe uko.
Afrobeat,
baby feel my command like zombie.
Amapiano. Ak alak chechang mising. Keri le kotuye ak anendet Cheroti Toche kila Jumamos kong'etie sait 4 nebo karon.
Over 1900 games brought us here, but history doesn't care about the journey.
The Premier League is the best league in the world.
La Liga is far and beyond the biggest winner.
It only remembers how it ends.
You bought it.
8 titles. 1 month of mayhem to decide them all. Stay connected and watch GoTV to catch the football season finale this May. It's on.
And we took the image of Kalanjini Tagat and KASS TV, the corner office, and Betunat and Nebo Raini, and Lake Mesubit Kenyurun, Alalet not and Nebo again, CEO, not and Nebo, and the Turk Rich and missing in Koinda, Yagivendi, Kewale, good getting gave Kisori and a cooking Geresa, as we get in like Kini, Otam Gatiatan, Basco, getting a table that I took the and social media pages, Jaget, and KASS FM, and KASS TV. So with kora geger tebuti nata ni much itinya en witugul elemi kunatan ketinya geljin kimiten about CEO na inandat ko indochin anan a professor ago CEO natan nebo Council of Legal Education CLE kunatan maraki somalin gazeti gira wa CLE ago maratomi guyo gon missing mandate ak paisoni kadan chiaye hoteljing ala kadan chibo somanet natan nebo negi ne teleljing ala gap ogil notet anan ngala kadan chi namege ak legal matters kunatan ke wale gotiten guni kayna nyon ko Stanley Abore wale gabe kiswahili na ko Kiingereza so bit keresa ngatinatan welcome to KASS TV.
Thank you so
Prof,
much.
good to have you today on set. Maybe just to start off, you start us off. I don't know, use Kiswahili or Kiingereza?
I think we can mix.
We can mix, yeah, correct, because we're simply having conversation. Now, maybe just introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we proceed from there. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and we are delighted to join you at KASS FM. My name is Jack Mwimali. I'm the Secretary and the CEO to the Council of Legal Education. The Council of Legal Education is a parastatal. It's a public institution established under the Legal Education Act, an act of parliament that confers it with its mandate and determines the role, powers, and functions that the institution has.
So maybe for someone who coming across today about CLE, the mandates or what does it deal with?
Now, Council of Legal Education, it has a very diverse and broad mandate. It is established in the Legal Education Act itself, which provides for a structure of enhancing and improving the quality of legal education, and it then tasks CLE to do that. How does it then do it? Number one, CLE accredits through licensing legal education provider. If there is a school, a college, a university, whatever the name it comes by, that wants to offer legal education in the country, it is required to get license from the Council of Legal Education. And let me pause to hasten that license does not preclude that institution from the requirement that they be accredited as education providers. So in many cases, if I may put it in Swahili, lazima uende kwa Commission of University Education, were sanctioned or mandated to provide education. So in many cases, it will be a university. Say, for example, University of Nairobi, Moi University, inataka kuanzisha a legal education program, and that legal education program would be in the nature of maybe a diploma in law, a degree in law, or even a postgraduate degree in law, so master's, PhD. Before you start that program, then you need to come to the Council of Legal Education. We have a format that we will review the application that you make. If we are satisfied that they meet the quality standards that we have established in the respective regulations, then we will license you to offer that program. So quite a number of programs, and we do gazette those programs every year, I think twice every year, so that you know which universities, which institutions have the license to provide legal education, so that we do not have masqueraders. That's the first work that we do. But secondly, we are also an examination provider. We do examine those who have now qualified with a law degree, who want then to turn from being just lawyers to be advocates. For you to practice in Kenya, you must be admitted as an advocate of the High Court
of Kenya. Yes.
And that admission process begins with an examination we call Advocates Training Program examination. You go to Kenya School of Law. Kenya School of Law is set up by a different framework. There's a Kenya School of Law Act.
In fact, I wanted to ask that, so it's good you've delved into it, yes.
So there's a Kenya School of Law Act. That act establishes the Kenya School of Law. And the Kenya School of Law then trains you. So you are admitted there, you undertake the training. But the Kenya School of Law does not examine you. It's the Council of Legal Education, CLE, that then sets that exam, administer the examination, marks the exam, and certify you if you have passed to then be admitted as an advocate. So that's the second role that we play. We are an examining body for those who wish to be admitted as advocates. After you have done that, then we gazette you as having qualified. There are 9 units that we examine in. And if you pass all the 9 units, we gazette you, then you petition the Chief Justice to be admitted as an officer of the court, as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. The third one, we also mandated to recognize foreign qualification for purposes of admission. So if you come from, say, UK, India, South Africa, and you have done your law degree there, and we want to know whether that degree is equivalent to the law degree in Kenya that we have accredited or certified, then you must apply to us for us to look at your papers, satisfy yourself that the program, including the courses that you have undertaken, are equivalent to what is required, and therefore you can then join the ATP. In the same instance, you can also come as a practitioner. You have been practicing in the US as an advocate. You have been practicing in the US, they call them attorneys or counsels. You may have come from UK as a solicitor or barrister. They have 2 categories of practitioners in the UK. And you want to now be admitted as an advocate in Kenya. Again, you must come to us to review the qualifications and determine whether you can be exempted from the ATP program and be admitted as an advocate. So that's the third mandate that we have, recognition of foreign qualification for purposes of admission to the bar in Kenya. We are also advisors of government in regard to policies related to quality of legal education. So we regularly do report to government, give opinions to government on issues concerning legal education and training in Kenya for purposes of improving the quality of legal education. So in summary, you can see we have a broad mandate. We are regulators, but at the same time we are examiners. So we look at our mandate in that dual space, as regulators and as examiners, all for the purpose of assuring that the people who are admitted as advocates to practice in Kenya have the required qualification, training, and also ability to represent people in the legal processes.
Absolutely. In terms of, you've talked about credibility in terms of the bar exams, and as a CLE, what have you done to make sure like this one is
taken into consideration to have the best lawyers, best advocates around? Yes. Now, when we do set the examinations, we have a very robust system. Number one, the entity itself is not, it's relatively small. We have about 42 employees. We do not have all the skill sets that are required, for example, in setting. But even if we did, we would want the diversity of the legal practice in Kenya to be represented during that examination process. Here we are talking about some of those who qualify become judges. They join the bench. Some of them go into public service, maybe at the Attorney General's office, maybe at the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. They may even go to Parliament and county assemblies as clerks, because there is legal requirements for office holders in certain areas that they need to be advocates. And of course, there is the legal practitioners, those who practice as advocates in the High Court. They represent clients. So when we set the exams, we bring in service providers from this broad range of interested parties. We have judges and magistrates setting. We have practicing advocates. We have people from Parliament, people from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, people from the Office of the Attorney General. And in many cases, to guarantee that the quality of examination is up to par, we have more than one paper set. So you'll have, for example, in one unit, people, a practicing advocate, a judge, a prosecutor setting, say if it is in criminal law, so that at the end of it, you have the diversity of legal practice in that paper that has been set. After they have set, we have, again, from the same pot, but different groups of people coming in to mark. And even before marking, there are those who come in to moderate, to ensure that, because sometimes when you set, you know exactly what you are asking, but it may not be clearly conveyed to the person that you are asking. So you bring in a third party as a moderator and as a peer reviewer to review, is these questions making sense? Can they be improved? Are they clearly understood? And then after that quality assurance process, we then administer that paper. We have centers, including the Kenya School of Law and other centers that we use for the examinations to be done. After they have done, again, we bring in a different set of persons, not those who set, not those who moderated, examiners, but now those who are just coming to mark. Now, a challenge would arise if you do that, because maybe the expectation of the person who taught at the Kenya School of Law is different from the expectation of the person who set the paper, and is different from the person who is marking. So what we do, we have a process where we allow the markers. Again, we use a conveyor belt system. You don't mark all the questions. Yes, we allow one person to mark a question, then another person to mark another question, so that even if you feel Mwimali is too hard, then you'll have it moderated by having another person also marking question number 2, and you are required to do 3 questions and so forth. That way, then we guarantee and assure that we have actually done it in a manner that then represents the quality of what examination has been done. But even before they start marking, they have to sit down, review the questions, and we allow them to even address it before they sing the marking guide. What do you feel? Because you are putting yourself in the position of that student who was examined. How would you answer it as an examiner, as a marker? The expectations. And then after you have done that, you develop a now separate marking guide without getting the one from the setter. From the setter. Oh. So in that expectation, you say, oh, in this from this question, this is probably what would be expected of a candidate. After you have done that, then we give you the marking guide from the setter. That's the setter, yes. Now, you consolidate it because there are expectations of the setter, but those are other expectations that may not have been conveyed by the setter, but you think it clearly comes out of the question that has been examined.
So you moderate the same, like I can say, you call it marking scheme.
The marking scheme, yes.
From the setter,
yes.
And the person
yes.
Doing the marking, absolutely. And Prof, you mentioned something on, let's say, someone coming from South Africa, someone coming from UK to Kenya.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned it well that you will relook and then advise. So in case maybe the qualification is a bit lower than maybe the standard set in Kenya, what will happen with that person or that lawyer or that individual? Like, must that person go back to Kenya School of Law? Or how do you go about it?
Now,
yes.
That's a very important question because we have scenarios, and I'll give a scenario where you have left Kenya maybe in Form 2, have not done Form 4, but you went to an institution where you upgraded yourself and therefore joined the university under a different system. In the Legal Education Act, there is a requirement that you must have scored a certain grade, especially in the languages, English or Kiswahili, because that's the nature of legal practice. You need to be able to communicate, and if you have not passed English or Kiswahili, then it means you are not able to effectively communicate. You may have then gone to another country, but because they don't have similar requirements, with the qualifications that you have, you go and you are admitted there. So when you come, number one, we'll subject your application for equation of your qualification to the legal education program in Kenya. And we'll ask ourselves, would you have been able to join the program here? I know that has been very onerous because you may have gone to Harvard. You may not have met the exact criteria for joining University of Nairobi, but somehow Harvard, Oxford, Yale has accepted you, and you come back and we subject you back to the pre-qualification. However, that's very useful for purposes of ensuring that in terms of the basic minimum qualification, everybody is aware that they are required to have certain qualifications to do the exam. Now, after we have done that, we now review the curriculum, and we have a list of the universities, and we'll also see whether those universities are accredited in their respective institutions. We work very closely with the Kenya National Qualification Authority and the Commission for University Education, because again, that university must have been accredited, and we can identify that from the databases and from the collaboration we have with CUE, the Commission for University Education, and the Kenya National Qualification Authority. If it is equivalent to the qualification in Kenya, then we ask ourselves a third question: have you done all the core units that are required to be done for purposes of admission to the Advocates Training Program at Kenya School of Law? Because you won't come and straight away you are admitted. You will have to go to Kenya School of Law with that degree. Now, in many cases, you'll find a candidate may have a valid degree recognized by the country from which they come, and of course equivalent recognition is given through a Commission for University Education and Kenya National Qualification Authority. We have no problem with that. But the law does require that you must have done 16 core units at the university, including, of course, the basics laws like constitutional law, laws of contract, laws of torts, those elementary commercial laws, including certain elements of commercial laws that we must see whether it has been done in it, trust and equity. There are quite a number of programs that are required to have been done at undergraduate level. So you may find a situation that person has this qualification, but they have not done all these units. In that case, we also accredit or license institutions to offer the remedial courses. At the moment, it's RIARA that has applied and we have certified, but we also encouraging and welcoming other institutions to offer that remedial class. They just need to apply to us, and then we license them, so that in case you may have done 14 of the 16 units. You still need to do 2 more so that you are qualified to join. So you go for those remedial, for those 2 units that you have not done at that institution, and if you pass them, then together with now your degree, you're able to be admitted at the Kenya School of Law to do the bar exams.
Okay. Maybe, Prof, before we take a break, if we still have a minute, okay. In terms of the application, you mentioned about the application, so you apply and then they look at, so I wanted to understand the turnaround in terms of time. Like it will take maybe, you say 1 month, 2 months, then you get the accreditation, or does it go?
No, we have automated that process, and it's part of our quality assurance systems. Actually, in our service charter, we are required, I think, within 48 hours to have responded to you. So you do your application online, we review your application. In many cases, in the 48 hours, we'll tell you we have received and we are working on it. Of course, in the form of working on it, we have to consult Commission for University Education, we have to consult the Kenya National Qualification Authority if need be. Because if you're coming from a university, for example, Oxford, that we clearly know because we have previously admitted people from that university under guidance from CUE, we don't have to go and ask them, have they? The only thing we may ask them, because you may find an institution who started, say, in 2010, yes, and you come with a degree from 2005, and in 2005 they were not offering that degree. Or you may even come from an institution that at the time you did were offering that degree, but recently they have stopped offering those degrees. So we will also consider those factors. So it doesn't mean that if your university went under after you had already started, that will prevent you. We look at it at the point in time. If that institution was offering that degree and it was permitted or accredited to do so at that time that you did, then we consider it, we process it, and we give you the certification. But again, I'll hasten to say, in terms of turnaround, we work very closely with Kenya School of Law because we know the admission timelines. Normally, they have the admissions in January. They open their portals sometimes in September. So within that period of time, we work to ensure that we are able to give you the necessary clearances so that then you can join Kenya School of Law. Absolutely. So sometimes if you apply in January, it may not, even if we give you that certification, then it may not be used until September. Yeah. But I'll hasten to say, you see, it is better you apply early, because we may find that you need to do the remedial classes, and it may need a whole semester, 3 months, before then you come back to us with the remedial class for the units that you didn't do in your foreign university, which then you need to do. So we work within the service charter that we have as an organization, and that service charter is one that is intended to ensure that we give also quality service to the public.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Professor. So much to discuss on this program. Kuna najita kala njiki macho mitka break. Gongit nye tepu tayatuli muchi ya kwecho in Facebook and KASS FM, again KASS TV. So bit kegeri yegita satai imiten gobata Professor Jack Mwimali, and that co-secretary, CEO, and CLE Kenya. Quick see, and Kasartan Matian, Mewe Yellow. Itagat Kalajita Palajin, Kabertanatan Boy, nebo the corner office in KASS TV. It is like meeting about Professor, and the Korago Secretary, go CEO, Jack Mwimali, and that co Telegin, and the Telegin Council, not on the CLE, and Emit not on Kenya. So we are missing Goba Galekaba Somanet, Kamanutin Yingone, Gonatani Tagasa with Kedestai Anglalanyon, and riding. Welcome back, Prof. And before we took a break, we were talking about accreditation, the time turnaround. Now, we want to move a little bit, and we talk about training, because I think this is the major part of this our conversation today. Looking at the training, I know we've set the background, we've set the foundation, first with the accreditation and then the whole process. So maybe you can take us through
the training part, and then we look at the examinations. Yes. Prof, welcome. Thank you so much. One of the things that I pointed and alluded to is that when it comes to training, council is not the trainer. Under the Kenya School of Law Act, it mandates Kenya School of Law to train. But in terms of mandate, both council and Kenya School of Law have the mandate to create the curriculum for training. The acts, Legal Education Act and the Kenya School of Law Act, do provide a framework of which courses, which units need to be taken. As I have pointed out, there are 16 units at the universities. There are 9 units at the bar level. So if you're going to be trained at Kenya School of Law, you have 9 units under which you are trained. But then we come in to examine. And one of the major challenges I know the public has been worried about is the diversification of that process. Because at one time somebody else trains, and then at another remove another person examines. And therefore sometimes the expectations are not at par. So when Kenya School of Law is training and Council of Legal Education is examining, we may not be on the same wavelength. We have tried as institutions to work together so that even as we develop the framework, including the curriculum, even as we admit those students to Kenya School of Law, we come together, have a clear framework of how we will deal with these institutions, and the candidates who are coming from the various institutions who then come to Kenya School of Law. We share the previous questions that we have set, the performance in those questions, the expectations that the examiners had, and I've told you it's a rigorous process. So we bring it to the attention of Kenya School of Law so that they use it even as they develop their training guide at that level. And therefore it improves the quality. The advantage of diversifying the setting and separating it from the training is that then you have a standard system irrespective of where that candidate has come from, whether you've come from abroad, whether you are at a university within the capital city, Nairobi, or from a rural university. And we have quite a number because of the requirement of devolution, a number of institutions that offer law in various areas. For example, now we have accredited Tom Mboya, we have Maseno University in the Western, we have Chuka University in Chuka, we have Southeastern in Kwavonza, in Kitui, and so on. So when we are examining, we want to guarantee the public that the quality of the advocate, irrespective of whether they have come from abroad or from these universities I've mentioned, from diverse corners in the country, have the same capacity to represent you in court. And that being the case, then it is good to have that diversification so that you are not just being trained and replicated as an advocate, so that that creativity is lost. But nonetheless, it's one of the major concerns that we have been having, and that is how we have tried to address these concerns to ensure that there is standardization, there's quality, but there's also equity and parity in the way we treat the candidates who come to do the bar exam. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When they come for their bar exams, very, very important, Professor. Now, looking at the exams now, I know, and we'll still have a conversation around it because when you look at other universities on different fields in terms of how they set their exams, that quality, as CLE, how do you ensure it's meeting up with the standard needed? Yes. We do it threefold. Okay. As I've mentioned, first of all, we have very stringent requirements for the legal education providers. Mm-hmm. We have a set criteria that then we employ to ensure that any applicant for license to offer legal education at the university level, at the undergraduate level, has the requisite qualification. If you do not meet, then there have been situations where we have been forced to intervene in the case of university. Sometimes we have refused to accredit them until they met certain qualification. There are times we have even gone as far as taking the drastic action of closing those institutions. Our intention is never to close an institution. In fact, as a policy, our approach now is to work with those institutions to ensure that they can guarantee that quality at that level. So if there are limitations or shortcomings, we are normally keen to get to plan and arrange with the universities to ensure compliance. Of course, when it becomes absolutely impossible to guarantee that quality, then we will have to shut that institution down to ensure that we do not produce people who cannot then meet the market demand at the university level. And then, as I have said, at the examination level, where we now train the bar exam, we ensure that, number one, you have also all the qualifications that are required for the practice of law in the areas that are specified in the Act. And then if you have that, we ensure that we guarantee that quality through curricular formulation at the bar level. So we are talking at Kenya School of Law, where we work closely with them, even though we are their regulators, to ensure that the curriculum under which they are training is one that is fit for purpose. And at the moment, for example, we are having a process of trying to ask ourselves the question, in 3 or so years' time, we'll have these individuals who are coming from a different curricular system or education system, the CBET. How then do we, as universities and as Kenya School of Law and CLE, ensure that we cater for these people? Again, it will probably necessitate a review of the rules and regulations, a review of the curriculums, and we are working with these institutions to just ensure that we align those so that when these come, we are able to meet them at that level. Again, for us, we are working within the current society. We are alive to the changes in the society. We are alive to the global needs. And I'll give an example. There are people who come from institutions that are not Commonwealth. You come from France, you have a law degree. You come from Russia, you have a law degree. Initially, the structure of legal education and training in Kenya was to only recognize those who come from Commonwealth countries. So if you are from England, US, South Africa, Canada, Australia, we would not have any problem with you, Uganda, Tanzania, because the system of law in those countries were developed in the same manner. India, they were developed from the colonial past with a close link to the United Kingdom system, the England and Wales system. But the reality of current world is the practitioner is not going just to be limited to the Commonwealth practice or common law practice. For example, China is becoming a very dominant power in the world. We import a lot of cars from Japan, where we have contracts that are made with those countries. We have contracts with France. Recently, the president of France has been here. There have been certain agreements between the government of France and the government of Kenya. We have come to the realization that we also need to regulate in line with these global realities and changes. Some of the answers I may not give, but I'm pointing it out to show that Council of Legal Education is alive to these realities. We are regulating with the situations that we are in, so that ultimately we will not want to prevent you from being an advocate simply because you went to Germany, Canada, or you went to Sweden, where they did not teach you in the same way we teach our law program here.
Yes. Absolutely. And looking at, Prof, different profession, we talk about even doctors, we talk about teachers, we talk about any other profession. And there's this word being used around, like
let's say, a quack doctor and then a quack lawyer.
Yes.
So what is the council doing to ensure that whoever is out there, because I know we've had so many cases in the media, looking at people, someone just goes to like high court or whichever the court, just being around there and like, I can offer the legal counseling, I can do, helping the public. But in the real sense is that person is maybe in one reason or the other, drop out, or even never went to a law school. So what is the council doing about it to reduce and maybe to weed it out, completely? Now, one of the things that we need to point out is the disparity in terms of mandates, because now the domain of ensuring practitioners come from qualified people is the one that is vested in the Law Society of Kenya. Again, the Law Society of Kenya is distinct from Council of Legal Education, distinct from Kenya School of Law, but they are the ones that regulate or have the membership of all the people who are licensed now to practice as advocates. For us, we come in at the beginning. But having said that, we also play a very critical role in determining, because number one, for persons who have qualified, we need to gazette them, including those who come with foreign qualifications, as I've noted. We work together with the Office of the Chief Justice, who then admits the advocate, and we normally supply that information to the Law Society of Kenya so that we maintain a clear framework of who is qualified to practice. Have they undergone through the relevant training, or have they been exempted? Because the law allows us to exempt persons, and as I indicated earlier, so for example, if you come from having practiced in the UK, there's no need of us subjecting you again to another level of training, and yet you have been a practitioner, you have been trained, and you have worked in Uganda. Of course, before you work in Kenya, there are qualifications that would need to be had. You may come in as an advocate of that country with special license from both the courts and the Law Society to work in a particular case, and you work with a local advocate. That's permissible, it's allowed, and that CLE normally has no role. But you may be coming in now to open a farm to practice in Kenya. Then you need to have met the qualifications under the Legal Education Act, specifically, not the Legal Education Act. For qualification is the Advocates Act. It provides in section 12 and 13, for the qualification of one to practice, you must have in section 13 been admitted after having passed through the examination offered by the Council of Legal Education, or having been exempted as per the provisions of that section by the Council of Legal Education. But there is also section 12 that requires that you must be a national of Kenya. There's a provision that also allows those who come from, in that section 12, who comes from Tanzania or Uganda, because again, because of the Commonwealth and the East African Community system, we have a very close structure. There was a law that allowed or expanded that list, that you can also be a national of Rwanda. It included also Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Uganda. Now, since then, there were admissions to the East African Community of Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and South Sudan. And the question has been, it has been litigated even in the courts. Do you allow Tanzania and Uganda and Rwanda and leave out those who are coming from South Sudan, leave out those who are coming from Congo? That's a question that can only be addressed by the legislature, parliament, they must legislate to change. If they want practitioner from East African community, then they must say so expressly in the act. But again, you'll find that many of those who come and want to be admitted in Kenya may have stayed in Kenya for a long time. For example, the South Sudanese students or candidates, they may have come in as refugees, they have been trained through that system, and therefore they have all the qualifications, but they are left out by virtue of that provision. Those are some of the challenges that need to be streamlined, but having said that, it is a legal process, and we work very closely with the Office of the Chief Justice and the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, because they maintain they are the ones that admit, and they maintain a list of those who are admitted to practice. And of course with the Law Society, again, because it's their mandate to ensure that practitioners do qualify. They also offer continuous professional training.
Absolutely. And a quick one, Prof, before we take a break. You've mentioned at some point, like in a bad situation, a school, let's say school A or B, can get deregistered to offer maybe a specific, to offer a course.
Yes.
And what are some of the scenarios? Let's say if this school A or B was accredited at first,
Yes.
they had met the requirements, and then maybe the kind of education went down, and what are some of
or those parameters are not
parameters.
met.
Yes.
For example, and the live situations that we are currently facing is a situation where when we come to accredit you, you have sufficient number of lecturers to train the students.
Yes.
Then 6 months down the line, either those lecturers go for greener pastures so that at the end of it you don't have the qualification, or we accredit you to take 100 students, then somehow you go and take 200 students. It is a challenge that we have been facing, and of course, as I said earlier, the mandate that we have permit us to deregister that institution. If you do not comply with those quality standards, there are situations. It happened, I think, 4 or so years ago when we had a problem with Moi University, and we went out and told them you cannot continue to offer that training. We even asked them to give us a closure plan, including how they're going to deal with the students that were already registered there. And even as we do take that drastic steps, which, and I really want to emphasize, it's not in the council's interest to close down this institution. It's in the council's interest to have them work within the framework that we have set, because it is entirely intended to create quality. So if you do not comply, you put us in a problem, because we would have accredited the other institutions, they have sufficient number of students. How are we going to deal with the students already admitted? So in many cases, we would tell you, you cannot take any new students. If you do take them, we will not recognize them. And we give that clear information. And then we look at modalities of you either teaching out those who are in the system, but ensuring that even as you are teaching out, you have the sufficient number of, say, lecturers, the facilities to teach out. But if need be, then we may even transfer those students to other institutions where they can assure and guarantee quality. So council is mandated and has the power to do that. But by the time we get to that drastic state, we must have ensured that the institution does not or is not able to meet those quality standards that we have set. So we normally encourage, and at the moment we even tell those institutions, come have a meeting with us. We understand the economic and financial situation in the country. You may be struggling, for example, on retention. Planning becomes ideal. You may say, for this semester we are not able, but we can guarantee that because we have this number of lecturers, we'll teach this group. But come, say, September, when we have a new intake, we'll have another 3 lecturers brought in. so that they're able to. So we do the planning with them and we enforce those promises, because then it means it allows you time to develop the infrastructure to ensure that you guarantee that quality and also do justice to those who are already admitted. Otherwise, then we will face a situation, and it has happened with, say, engineers and even lawyers, where the institutions have worked completely against the regulations that were given to them. And when the students graduate, the board, in the case of engineers, the council in case of legal education, we tell them, you are not qualified to join the bar because the institution from which you undertook that program wasn't accredited at that time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Professor. Given the break, we got the corner office in KASS TV. Itagat kora kita pala njini got the corner office in KASS TV. Betunatan barai ko kingalali ngaleka tanti tinyiga KASS manet. Missing in a legal profession. Our notangimitan about professor and CEO secretary and CLE Kenya. Professor Jack Mwimali ne ako bit koro ro missing en ko endan ke vertana tan taya ke vertana tan boying again gun ke miten ke vertana bo some. Welcome back, Prof. And looking at the failures, I know when you look at different professions, sometimes there's an upward trajectory, sometimes there's a downward trajectory. What does the council do about it?
Thank you very much for that question. Actually, it has been a vexation on council. We are blasted both ways. If they are seemingly, and I'm using the words cautiously, low performance in the by-exam will be blamed, especially by the candidates and their sponsors, on deliberately failing the students. It's like we are gatekeeping and we do not want them to join the by-exam. On the other hand, when there's very good performance, I remember last September we had more than 920 advocates that were admitted by the Chief Justice to the bar. And of course, the debate online was, how do you train all these? Where are they going? And therefore, we find ourselves in a situation of do you are damned, do not do you are also damned. Our response in terms of performance, first of all, is that a student who prepares well will always pass. We have no intention whatsoever to prevent those who qualify from being advocate. In fact, it was aptly captured by the Chief Justice during that admission in September that if you have 1,000 well-qualified individuals who have been trained, who have been examined, who have passed, what do you do with them? You cannot just say because the profession is full, we cannot admit. You will admit all of them. As long as you are trained, you are examined, and you are found to be fit, we will allow you to graduate. In fact, as I have indicated, you see the process that we do through the examination period is so rigorous that it is almost impossible for you to be deliberately failed, because you will have a setter, you will have a different examiner, you will have a moderator. At least within those framework, you will have captured where there is a problem. Beyond that, we also have a possibility of remarking. And again, we bring in totally new people to remark if you feel that you must have done well and you failed. In many cases, you'll find that the marks are either the same or take or give, 5, 3, 2, 1, yes. Within the human level of understanding, some of the law questions are very objective. So I may have felt that you didn't answer sufficiently, somebody else feel. But in many cases, you'll find it's within a very limited scope. But we are not saying that we require them to be that. We normally just do our internal assessment of during remarking, for example, what was the highest score that was given in terms of the difference from what he initially scored. And that then helps us to know if our quality system at the time of marking is working. And that then helps us to mitigate situations of failure of those students. Number two, and this is very critical, we require a student to do 9 papers within a year. Normally, the pass rate per paper is 50%. As a student, if I come in and of the 9 papers, I am able to clear 7 or 8. The question we normally ask, have I failed? I have not been able to clear 1, I have cleared 8. Or have not been able to clear 2, I have cleared 7. Have I failed? And there's various circumstances that may have occasioned me to do poorly. Maybe I didn't anticipate what was examined, I may have been sick, I may have panicked. We also give an opportunity for that student to recite that paper so that they are able to make up. And if they recite the papers that they have failed, ultimately they are admitted. And that's how we get to the 900 plus. It means we have a process that clears the system. But one thing we want to ensure is that we will not pass you for this because we are under pressure and the students are rioting or going around. We want even yourself as a qualified advocate to have that confidence that I was able to sit and by merit to pass the bar exam, and therefore if I go to court to represent a client, I have every ability because I have been examined and I have been found to be very qualified. And in many cases, I even ask those parents that want to help or assist their children to pass. I tell them, you see, the best assistance you give them is the encouragement to do. Because if I assist you and fraudulently you get into the system, then it means even as an advocate, you will be susceptible to corruption. Because you know there is a shortcut of doing things. If I can't represent my client sufficiently, I'll probably be looking for the contacts of the judge to see if I can. So let them go through the process. And the process we examine at CLE is the same challenge they'll find in practice. You will not always win your cases as an advocate. There are those that will fail. Not to mean that your case was deliberately or in any way maliciously lost. You see, everybody has a right of representation. So however weak the case, an advocate will still take it. So if you're an advocate that must pass at every stage, it means even when your client's case is weak, you'd want to influence it to have you have 100% win rate. I recently had, I think it was last year, when a quack was said to have won all the cases, I think 24 cases that they represented.
That's a good story.
The question is it fair administration of justice? Because in any case, there are 2 parties, isn't it?
Yes.
And one party must lose. Not necessarily because he was poorly represented. It's maybe because their case was weak. The law was not on their side, the facts were not on their side. So even as a practitioner, and I had the privilege of practicing for about 15 or so years, there were cases I lost. There are those that I won. It is the nature of life that you will lose in some, you will win in that. I was in college for 13 years. Undertaking law. And I tell my students, the people who interact with me, that within the 13 years, there are those who are my colleagues who took 6, 7, 8 years, they had the same qualification as I. The fact that I took longer, does it mean I'm a weaker person? It doesn't mean so. An example of pilots who during those days when there was no piloting school in Kenya, went to the US to train. Others, because of financial ability and even interest and skill, within 3 years, they had learned how to fly, they had accumulated the flying hours, they came back and were employed as pilots in KQ and in other airlines that went through the region. Others took about 7 years, 8 years. Maybe they were slow in understanding. It took a bit of time for them to master. But in the 8 or 9 years, they came back and were pilots. By now, 20, 30 years later, they're very good pilots. Nobody would be asking you how long did it take for you to train. It would, are you a competent practitioner? And for me, that rigor of ensuring that by the time I pass through that process, I have the qualification is very critical.
Very, very critical. Thank you so much, Prof. And for the interest, because of the interest of time, maybe you can talk to us about the ATP. I know most people also wanted to understand and get to know more concerning it. Yes.
The ATP is the exam. The ATP is the Advocates Training Program,
yes,
which I've said is done at Kenya School of Law. You must apply to us to certify ourselves because we have that mandate that you have the qualification to join the Kenya School of Law. And then, of course, the training normally starts at around January and ends in September, because October, November, because in November we then do the examination, the first set of examination. And we have deliberately, because again, you may be constrained, some are adult students, candidates. You may not have sufficient time from work to do your exam in September. We allow them in April to do another set of exam, either as a resit or even a first attempt. We have a situation where CEOs have done the bar exam even as they have worked as CEO. I remember a case of a colleague of mine who said they were deliberate. They knew they cannot do all those exams in one sitting. They chose to do 5 exams in November, and then they came for the remaining 4 exams in April, and they were admitted in the September the admission group. So we are able to facilitate them, and we are able to allow you to register for the number of units you feel confident to do. And if you fail, then you will have the possibility of taking twin takes. Let me hasten to say that we cannot, and we have seen from experience, continue to allow people to retake those units as many times as possible. The reason being, the law keeps changing. If you were trained with me in 2003 when I took my undergraduate, and you started your bar exam in 2004, by now the law is not the same as we were taught in 2003, 2004. So if we allow you to continually just recite, then we'll not also be doing justice to the system, to legal education. So in the new regulations, what we are proposing is that if you sit the bar exam, you will have up to 4 attempts.
4 attempts, yes.
You do your first attempt and then 3 more attempts for that unit. If you fail for that unit, it's very likely that we will allow you to go back to do that unit. To just that unit. So you go to the School of Law, do that unit, and then we allow you now to sit that exam, so that we don't have a situation. And if you have failed 4 times, it may be that you have not mastered that area. But number 2, after 5 years again, the system would have drastically changed. So after 5 years, you'd have had quite a number of attempts to sit those exams. Then we will probably discontinue you. It doesn't mean that we have locked you out. It means that if you want to still be a lawyer, and there are those who are very resilient, you can then go back to the Kenya School of Law, register, because the system of law now would have changed. Register and start afresh the process, so that we also have a closure. Otherwise, we have had situations, including now, where a person who was trained in 1998 comes and say, I failed a unit in 1998, I want to be allowed to do that one unit. Those units, of course, are not on offer. The syllabus, the curricula has changed. And yet, you are requiring us to, in those situations, maybe it may be more prudent for you to just go and redo the ATP, so that even as you study, you acquaint yourself with the current status of law.
On the law, absolutely. And I'm saying we are really out of time, and I promise we will come back again some other time.
You are welcome.
So that we explore more, because the legal matters is wide, so huge. You cannot just wide it up on one sitting. On your parting shot, Professor, from where you sit again, how do you see the future of the legal profession in Kenya?
I see a bright future. Yeah. In fact, I have been following performance of our students from Kenya in moot court competitions in other parts of the world, in Europe, in the US, in South Africa, and they have been doing extremely well. Of course, it's the nature of a system that you will have very, very brilliant minds. We'll have average minds. You may have those who are not so good. And those that are not so good, it doesn't mean they're hopeless. Yeah. Again, the example I gave of the pilot, I may have been trained for 7 years to become a good pilot. You need to have the motivation to join the profession. And of course, you need to also commit yourself. Don't take shortcuts, just do what is required of you. And I can guarantee you, where we are seated, our concern is purely on quality. To guarantee the public that those who are being produced meet that quality. And we have every faith that our students are going to excel. Of course, there are those who complain that the quality of legal education has reduced. The same concerns when I came back in 2003 was there, that we need to now subject them to more rigorous program because the quality of education has gone down. More than 23 years later, we are still saying, and now us whose quality was being questioned in 2003 are the ones that are questioning those who are coming now. Those are coming in, yeah. As long as we put the infrastructure in place, for me, I have no doubt that we have a very bright future practitioner. And as I've indicated, we are even expanding the scope of training. We are now not just insisting on Commonwealth. We want to see you being able to practice even in a Commonwealth country by ensuring that the training in Kenya adapts to the universal reality. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your time. And I know you have a busy schedule. We really appreciate for granting us this interview. Thank you so much. No, jita kwa lejina zangaigas ko angalaki tinyaga ka somanet missing jitinyaga legal matters. Gimiten ko bota Professor and Brago Secretary of CEO. Jack Mwimali and ko television council not about CLE Kenya. We are talking about to the corner office and KASS TV kind of ko Stanley Bore. Saisa.
This May, enjoy more drama on Star Times. Unrivaled stories.
Tanggol, you will leave as a Dimagba, but return as a Montenegro.
Characters you can't forget. More love, more secrets, more twists that leave you breathless.
You're a true monster, Benito. We will fight for what's rightfully ours.
Recharge your monthly subscription today and unlock endless drama every single day. From heartbreaking betrayals to burning romance, the drama never stops. Experience Novella E now on Nyota Bouquet on Aerial and Nova Bouquet on Dish Decoder. Download the Star Times On app to enjoy all your favorite shows and stream live channels on the move. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Baraton College go tertiary institution nebo higher learning in igoitoi somanet ne ititaat ago ne nyumnyum lipanetab school fees. Igoitoi courses chenamege ak kasari che inyoru ne boisiet koketar. Igoitoi ije courses chebo artisan certificate, diploma, degree ak masters programs in education, animal health and production, computer science and information technology, geriatrics, nenoto professional caregiving, theology and psychology, business and technical courses. Tindoi mornok Baraton College eng Eldoret ak Sabet nai iletesetai intaganguno asine jajangi irutaji website eng www.baratoncollege.ac.ke anango email eng baratonacademic@gmail.com. Imuji gora ibersime teng number 0714 486 039.
Anenone, Chepkebet, Superstar, Arab Langat Soe.
Inside Production.
Aneno, Joseph Arab Langat. Aneno, Chepkebet Arab Langat. Ayoke, agata kurunuku. Ayoke, agata masabikeju. Masabikeju kemite nolatugu. Chorwanitwe konyonen mayirube. Chorwanitwe konyonen mayirube. Chorono, kongo niptoyo tariba. Mungu iborwan oren. Watu wananyoni, wana tariba entertainment. Mungu, agati Paulo Arab Teso. Agati Jeruyo Tarab Kapte. Igatwa Agustin Jelule. Maute Paulo Arab Teso. Chorwanitwe konyonen mayirube. Chorwanitwe konyonen mayirube. Chorono.
Kalenjin atinye kamang'unet ale mi komie en betutab raini, betut age ne kararan nekakituye tugul sikobit kiketkei kidogo ako mbele yetu ketindoi tondet nekimoche sikikoi nafas kole komwowech kole ng'o inendet ak komwowech kole kaibu ine asikobit ketestai. Amache sinam chiondo kostoindenyun asikobit ketestai kot kiwong'u interview ini. Atochi. Karibu.
Kongoi. Ngoini tukyu kekuron Joseph Arab Langat. Kainet inene bo tiendo ko Chepkebet.
Joseph Arab Langat Chepkebet. Okay. Karibu sana itagat en interview ak KASS TV.
Kongoi.
So amache anya siarorwech simwawech jan neng'ung nebo tiendo tos kinome au itieni?
Ngalekab tienwogik kianome kenyitab 2000. Anome asire.
Okay.
Lakini maatien akoi 2015.
So kisire en 2000
Kiasire ako nyoru challenges chechang ko maatien.
Ko mesibi
inam kialaken exposure. Kimongen ale tot kichoben ano, kimongen amanda town. So in 2015 kako changa ngalekab simoishek kouon ko kaikai. Anemu tiendo netai.
Ko tos kinaita ano ile itindoi talentaitab tiendo anan yes to kinaita ano ile itindoi talentaitab tiendo kotinam isir tienwogik kot menam itien?
Kiatinye talent kabisa kong'eten ko aming'in ko kiachome tienwogik kabisa chu kibo keny. Chu kibo kina Pepe Kale kina bichon kibo South Africa saiti. Kina Maria Kepa ak checha ko kiosibi kabisa tienwogik kwak ko kiakose achome. Kotun kiakose atinye kabisa maket abose kityo.
Kitindoi interest kong'ete?
Katinye interest kong'ete.
So kianan ot itienoten kele komi tuyo kidogo kwanan itien?
Kabilet age.
Itienchi biik?
Kinan komi tuyet kimuche atien kikimi besho Kirenget. Kikaostenate teacher MP nebo Kureso.
Okay.
Kur kabisa abaibaitoi. Abaibait akanol
amuche abaibait.
Nito.
Kararan any. Kongoi missing en walutiet non kewolu komie. Amoche anya simwochi ile kinamda ano anan kinamen tiendo ainon kinamen chekiran isir anan kinamen alak tugul chekiipanganda ano kou nondo?
Kinany asir ko kiasire kotatun ingen ngome studio mara me na ile kibendi ko utu ngalekab tienwogik.
Mara kesir iman ko tiendo kityo lakini kor ko autun tune.
Lakini tun kityo abwat kityo ko kaamach atien atien tiendo kityo nengwong kialen la awekyi akat choronok tos shabik chechuk.
Lene tienoto
kikuren choronok by Chepkebet.
Choronok. Miten YouTube?
Kimache kukichobe kinde kong'eten koron.
Okay.
Lakini kiakunde lakwa werinyu nebore Mantariba.
Oh, Mantariba. Mantariba ko
maweri nyun ne kai ko babindanyun kwanda.
Okay.
So ko kiaku ndatyo noto. Ko kitomo talil. Kotienge ketinye challenges chechang kimi log secondary. Umuche komi log aengu.
Ama iriki meset.
Ko notini bereche rabinik. Bereche ngso rabinik ilile. Ko ui kabisa ko kewe. Kot ko inogere ka mai kaususin ngalekab sukul. Ale nabarchige so talilot agenge.
Noton nikiangindo YouTube.
Lakini nebuch atinye tienwogik chechang. Kiotien age nebore nelelen. Kiotien in faith Pieko.
Okay.
Kokomong en Budapest. Mungika yai nemie kabisa abaibaitu. Aluwo yoche otien tienoto. Akotien age nebore yon kakimostere. Ndao ngakibe kemostere. Itukye banda.
Sikor ko mauritore.
So mauritore tana so magitu notice ko irutimi. So koyoche imel ak ilion.
Ak ibwate
ile tewendi.
Ibwate ile tori yoche iit kaa.
Ak tienwogik chechang tienwogik chotinye simoit chekiachobe. Lakini tomo otienen studio. Lakini among'u ale kanam any nguni. In fact ndonyoru kora chito nemuche kotoreton en ng'alekab tienwogik chu awendi tai.
Okay. Sawa ko kakasimwa Mantariba kumaanisha itindoi connection ak tienik che latest anan tienik che tieni nguni. Makele imi iletuno zaidi anan ne kotok kong'ololi ak tienik che tieni nguni.
Keng'olole tugul kabisa.
Ako ngamun koit an extent nekondeun tiendo YouTube nenyinet ko among'u ale that is a very big support. Ka supporten kabisa amun maraisi kochobun chito kounoto.
Ngandan nema tom ilu boisiek kongen ng'alekab YouTube sana.
Man.
Kakimwoe kityo kele ndabitu chi ndo supportenech ko supporten akonetech ne komie koik tuguchu kotoek en boisiek. Kikingen chu kibo Santuri. Chu kibo keny.
Chu kibo in
kikialdos compacted ak nikinye nikibo keny. La nun bare chob. Kumoe kora lakwa ne koiden.
Lakini matito chang lako mabete ne toretin.
Kongoi mising.
Unoton.
So atinye tienwogik so far atinye 5.
Tienwogik 5. Chekirilil anan ki recording chi?
Tomalil ka recorder.
Okay. So ibongoni lilo we?
Ugele matonguloni. Tonguloni ne mai ko ui. Lakini buch ndakilon nguni ndabitu lakwa kolon. Na toretin alile in a minute.
Haraka. Sasa makaokas kastoik ngot komi chi neikose te support inendet talenta inyin ak tienwogik chekikocher ko I think this is the chance, this is the platform neimuche inyorunen inendet asi ikoi support neitinye agetugul. And for that matter amuche awekyi kongoi the tienindet nekakimentionen amun kiyai kit nebo maana zaidi. Ako ndamukokse kora iteyai kosir yondon. Kakose kemwa anyin ng'alekab nini challenges chekinyoru tienik ko agenge ko non kaimwoe non kai highlighten ile ng'alekab rabinik chekifondenen nguno recording ang nalo recording ko lazima komi rabinik kora ak in shooting ko lazima komi rabinik. Tos mi challenges alak apart from rabinik icheken?
Chang challenges. Nanot sait age ibore kechop tiendo karon kotomo tinde ui ikose kokomo ikwong'e ile kanemundon. Bichu mengechen nguni mutiendo ko ketiem buch. Karon ikose ketienote kotomo.
Ako neng'ung'et tiendo tomo inam itien.
Noton nekolen skechop ko kinoboroitoi gaa akose mi nekakonde neloboti ak pikipiki tienote. Kotomo atar komie achobe. Kikochop sikuon kong'et.
Ngele kechop chorus ngunon kenamen chorus.
Kosich kiptoik man ele kiyo.
So challenge nemi kora ko kibenge tienwogik.
Kibenge tienwogik.
Talentait ko nengung lakini kakonyo yani kakorebenen chito age ak konam kwamisie.
Akonam kwamisie. Anat kosib kokoito ketien kotomo tilil kotun ibare lil komekotinye ladha.
Amun kikelil.
Kikenai. Akochopchi kinan sait age nyoru kokelil kemixen ak
alak.
Kimi chi nekabara toker ang nanyun tien. Ko akilil anyin kinem pichainik chekibo kwany tobo kongwanan. Anyo keminchi akendot pokinde chemo tokororon. Ko kikaker ale makaran kora ngalechu en tienwogik ndong kai komanyolu keyai kounon. Ako nyolu ko makararan kenome chito neuno. Konde kunde chepkelelik chetieni tuguk chetomo sali.
Ko tiendo ngung ko mara kalen kole nebo tiendo ngung ko kater kama kobo
ter kibo nei chorwandit kiokoti mashabik. Kyo ngololjini mashabik kechu.
Okay. It's a very big challenge and I think yoche kotokoker ngalekab yoche kotokoker nini. Ingen le okay shida koroni ko ngamun tomo inde YouTube tienwogik chechang amun mbore kai uploaden en YouTube komi copyright issues so kotam kotere lakini sana ko copyright ko motoboishe yon momi platform.
Okay.
So ngunon ot kor kebe ilonchen complain ile nanyunet tieni kikirebenan sijui nini ko moe koui kosibet. Moe koui kosibet. Nin korebe kotor kolelen ki nanyun kianata. Ko nibore te I complain kelenjin ko kiani.
Maiku neta amun abare sautit kekose kele bo ngo sautit.
Koras. So
ndawon komuch kokotien ak chichoto komuche kole
kinenyon tuan.
Motomami maapiaren ineni sound kuma ikere ile moboisie. Mamuche ot akine koe.
That's a very big challenge. Kabwati anyun nebo rabinik ko challenge neo lakini konon kora saidi.
Konon saidi. Yoche netokokerwech serikali ng'alechon bo virus sikobit kotoretech komakitin ityen amesiken ki. Mara koityen iman lakini kor ibore ker ko kabunchi chito age. Kakwamen chito age nekomobirtoge. Unoto.
Takomi challenge age anan?
I think uon challenges nekochon nache koromi.
Ko tebutiet age nekomoche atebenen ko anan kekose sait age kelen chi nekoik tienindet komotosobe yani chi nekoik tienindet ko uon kobet anan kalyan mi kit neu nondo en soet mongen kotko mi olda tugul anan mi komoswek alak kityo. Anibuch ine kotaman akekas kele kobet any kokonam kotien. Yani kiasosieteni chito nekotien ak betet mongen ale ngwany ene sikomwoe biik kouno.
Ako maunon any kabisa. Tienik eleo ko kimekan ako manyor makilen kele kibetyo. Koi kityo tienge kora tienwogik chetieni.
Koras.
Imuche tieni tienwogik chon mokororon chon bo kole. Kor ko kimuche kele ka uo manam lai. Nibuch tienik kot kina kimeto komabik ke.
Iman.
Kina kipchamba makitien kotatun koruto komie.
Ako tienge kora atepto.
Ak atepto. Mara itienoti kotor iwech kotor ilianen yate tugun chemokororon. Lakini nibur kou nekoiu komewalake.
Komawalen tiendo.
Komawalen tiendo. Ko mami shida. Kou ngunon anabur kou ndon kole kacham tiendo lakini amabur kou kit nekyou.
Kou ole kiu.
Maite kitin alelen ale sumek anan kitin asal sumek. Kikeron alak besyo kolelen uon kasal sumek bondon. Kibwote kole kasal amun yani kaatien kobore koker ko koiku boyon lakini kamarar
kitien sida.
Katien kabisa ko kararanit nochop kirong.
Kole rahisi kasal
sumek. Kole tuyot inoni lani asal sumek. Lakini ko masole ke.
Okay.
Masole ke kabisa.
So tebutiet neletunen tos ilenjini ne sigik any inole ngunon kou inye ko mara itindoi lagok, itinye family ak itinye lagok and then lakwet mara komong lakwet agenge ak inee nechome tiendo kou inye. Angen ale ko en inye kotor ko rahisi iyonjini kotien amun itienindet ak inye ako ingen ile tiendo ko kit nekararan o talentait nebunu it's part of the blessing nakakiberuren chito. Lakini komi sigindet age ne mara ka sigindet yani ne ka normal sobet mara ka mwalimu ko temindet anan ka ne asikomong lakwet komongee ak kokas totien ko ingele sait age ko mara koeten sigindet kolenji kamoe iiku takitari kamomoche itien tuguk cheu chon. So tos ilenjini ne sigik cheu chon any simaeten lagok chemengech anan lagok chetinye talentaisiek kotakomengech kobor talentaisiek kwak komengech.
Ngere ngalekab tiendo ko makiete lakwet. Non ko talent nenyin. Atungunon our family ko ugel kitinye tienik chechang. Kou Mr. Kike ko werit my brother. Lakini ko maete. Satinye ora werit nebore ku Star nekitupche. Ko tienindet.
So family no
ko makiete lagok kotien amun talent niete lakwet ko kewechi kora keborchin
future nenyin
komongune ak ibarot imuche kokebar en kabwatut. So kit nekacham chito kocham ngat kityo ile itien amatiliana matiyai tuguk chemanyolu. Nibu tiendo mayat tiendo. Kimi tiendo kong'ete otoin siot kiaker kou Boni kibar Boni Mwaiteke. Kiaker katien kabisa kaba kanisa lakini kitien kabisa achame anole. Bat matamongonyo aborge atieni soiti. Lakini kitien bondonon acha. Aker ole wako. Ot chitab kanisa na yoche kobaibai.
Koyoche kobaibai tani.
Yoche kotien kobaibait kulos komuktoindet en chamet nekacham. Konyokinye initieni chekuk itien ak ibaibaitu.
Kokobaibaitu biik.
Kokobaibaitu biik amun kemoe ibaibait biik. Unot.
So amangu ale kaketarchi yonton interview nebo betutab raini. Iya kotetinye ng'olyon neletunen nekemoche ngotko mi chi nekemoche ikat anan kemoche ikoi regards maybe your family.
Alen ko akoti my family tugul. Kong'eten neo akoi neming'in. Akoti biikab kokwet akina William Cheluget, kina Paul Kibelion, choronok chu ketam kokose Leon ine weri uchop tienwogik. Kina Isaac, kina mi chorwa nenyun nebore Psogo nemi Soitaran. Kotam ko biik chemakwon ine. So olendini kanam any ine amache abusi biik. Kitoleini lakini kakonu kena achop tienwogik. Akatesta. Uon ngunon.
Aya kongoi missing. So kaketar kounon kastoindenyun amache kenomchin yondon ak ketestai keipchi KASS FM International ak keker kora KASS TV. Nekaibwok interview ni ko Chepkoech Masi kimnatet na
Kokikimangin mokoria en kerio koking'etos lagok kolokochorasis korwai kabok kotomo kochurkute kochibobe komai lagok alake kotieni tiendo nekichibe bobeke ichibwano ichibwane kabobe ichibwa semberiet anan ko mugukiete yekochibra konanyinoton imane yemochib kora kokonye tumesyoe amu mochibe chiboba nebo chi kimamwoe kimwoe kipkoburen mochibe chiboba nebo chi mochibe chiboba nebo chi matinga muste kokoirir kucheme mochibe chiboba nebo chi akot
matindoi elenga kabobinoto machibechi boba nebo chi komaro mango uche mololute machibechi boba nebo chi morebechi bora nebo chi machibechi boba nebo chi kengetini tugul boy kechengelchinet asikeramat kerike lagochu choget ak magutikyok tugul chebo soboni yekelurani imwa kokoiyen yemokelu ngora kwakwailet kamasya kimwa kutini nyon kole mong'o kasis en chi tugul kotengokilegei nebo mane amu mi Jehova nemiten kipsengwete yeikochin chi tugul melektanyin iman koten ikilegei wen nekitupche komachibe chi boba nebo chi machibe 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 chi boba nebo chi koteni kilege nebo manne machibe chi boba nebo chi matkai besyo komein mugulele machibe chi boba nebo chi ikilge kotakai kumurene machibe chi boba nebo chi keboisien kekirinda en bananda kilebin kenyorun inome matanda urotwan mamite mwanik chemamanda na ile mwanduni kemiten en banda iyame chebechebe anan ko chelanda ilochi chesut anan ko chemunanda kuchomine matin Jehova kwanda matkaibesyoenyu koondinget konda keljine nekonyorchigei chito age amatkairore chichi nesereti matkomili sobetab chi nebo noni soboni kou kandara chekikele kimotioldos tugul eng kibagenge kou noto akine borotoshekyok tengurani koboru konenyun yetil Jehova kole koberurin komagoi kole asikotebesyonjo amu matinye inendet kalotunoe koberureng'ung ko neng'ung'et inyegen amachibe chi boba nebo chi machibe chi boba nebo chi machibe chi boba nebo chi machibe chi boba nebo chi konu tugul Jehova nenyo machibe chi boba nebo chi ako lilimiet koberurenyi machibe chi boba nebo chi ako makiroberi ak masakisie machibe chi boba nebo chi dereba mechor tugun chebo chi machibe chi boba nebo chi matimonde melekto nebo kaotiku machibe chi boba nebo chi machibe chi boba nebo chi machibe chi boba nebo chi machibe 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 chi
Pas ingane tupcho kekuruna Joel Kibron arap lagat kakibwa ainab keles kebunu tindiret oke grupit ni kimi tugul ni koba kuleiwek chebo 1996 kimi pamoja koboto akot Pamuru alenin kibunu Nandi mastab tindiret kangeitu ainab keles ko kakitachech komie kakebe sauna kakusi akakitachech komie kakeamishe kit nekaboiboichin kainab keles ko kerichek chebo sauna kakibe sauna kenyoru kerichek chelupchani borto tugul ko kacham noto mising. Takset nemie kainab keles ko kararan kora. Kitoche biik eng oret nekararan ak kiborun tuguk tugul chemakchinigei. Ngimetoreto kotoretin. Alen kora amitwogik kora chemi yutok kororonen. Itinde standard nebo chito. Alen kora kakiba kora kitien tiendo. Kebaibai noto amu kakinyor nafas kewastegei. Alen kongoi kora. Ko chi age tugul netomo nyo ainab keles alechinin itu ainab keles sikerchigei tuguk chekororonen chemi ainab keles. Asome kora ale Dr. Sambu kibwat kit nekararan kotoi ainab keles sikotoretech amu ngiwe sauna kokaiste mogonjweshek chechang. Alen kongoi mising eng Dr. Sambu. Ko kasomak anyun biikab Kalenjin koboch oleboch obwa ainab keles sokerchigei tuguk chekororonen chetomo ikere chito. Alen kongoi.
Eng kainutikchuk kekuron Edna Chepkoech Tanui. Akibwa ko kiasa grupit nebo Bakule. Akibwa akot shemeji. Kimi tugul, mi chi tugul ak boyonyi okere kuni. Nganda mitei agenge nemanyo boyonyi. Ko akibwa kikepangan kebwa ainab Kipkeles. Ako kakeitu rani. Ako kakitachech eng Kipkeles. Ainab Kipkeles. Kanye kiungei. Kanye kiunegei kerichek. Ko ngekas ainab Kipkeles cham kekase kotangazani Denisto. Akilen akot tinye kenyoru Denisto kele manekit. Abwati ale akoi kokasech kole mitei. Kakenyoru kerichek. Kimwae kongoi kabisa eng dakset nekakitachech eng ainab Kipkeles. Akot biik che ae orit yutok services ko katachech kabisa. Kimwae kongoi nebo man. Alen matinye ng'al anendet chetya, alechini grupit ninyonen okilgei kotestai kotko matkochut setanik sobeshe. Kui kiketebi eng kasarta nekoi. Kingo kakomong bichu kelen kong'et eng Kipsigis. Ole kisikwane ko Kipsigis, ko kong'et bichu kokomong eng tumdo. Ko kingenyo komut agenge eng achek ko kinyiketuiye akoi sai kotindoi chi tugul lagok chekikomanda koba colleges. Aketinye lagok chemengechen netoet koroni kakimut eng yutoyu neming'in tugul nguno. Asome amwa kabisa amwochi grupit ninyonen ale ongetebi kunitok asikokere biik alake. Kikerutochigei, kikealchigei tuguk chechang, maendeleo anan lagok chok chekitinye eng sukul ko kiityini kenai kele ngotko lakwet nebo Joel Bamuru ko ine kingen kele testoi tai ano. Akot ndakatachame anyun kotebi chi tugul ak boyonyi asikobit kokere biik alake chekere kasefem. Mau notok inye ngonakta chi tugul ak bodyguard nenyinet kiro KASS TV. Koma nenyunet komite oli ko inyendet nani komeunyge. Kemi kouni ko chi tugul ak nenyinet. Ko Pawana nani? Komeunyge. Amu kamaimuch koit neng'ung'et komuch ikaktegei kora amu kabamuru. Kaki agenge tugul. Boisionik chekiyae kingen. Boisionik chekiyae kap chi tugul nguno kingen. Ko asome kabisa ketestai kunitoni ak ketebi kunitoni akoi koigeny. Ko ki Bakule teams kongoi.
Netai achame akatak tugul kaina nebo Jeiso ale chamgei eng kainaik ko Evelyn nebo Arap Keter. Kaetu ramu kanyo Kipkeles. Cham akase kityo kemwoe ainab Kipkeles. Cham kelen mi beek chekiunegei lakini kanye keunegei bechotok kakechut chekiswetan ine akakemilip kiune kora komilip kebire as beek chekiunegei kora ketilili tas nyilach kias. Kakebun ola tugul olo sasa nguno kanye kebe kora kaketiense. Amitwogik chekakeam kora kakechul. Abwoti timit ninyo ne Bakule ni Ko kimit kikomuta chelelo amun ndikimoko timit nekotebi strong tatomo kamatakitub keles. Sasa nguno kekere kele maya ongebete notok akesome kamuktaindet konyo kwenunyo sokolumdech asitakebe lo kora nemap keles inege sitonyo kaptep keles akot lekibendi masta age techoto chechuket.
Alen kotomo atestai maket age tugul kainetab Jesu ale chamgei. Chamgei koke. Oye kabaibaitu nganap kipkeles kiainik kiakose ako kiabitu ale aikabit sawakine baunegei kerichechu cham akase Dennis tokomwoe kityongo. Oye ongetebi kunitok akikilgei chi age tugul nekose ainab kipkeles inyo sinyikerchigei nyege.
Know your heroes.
I started my career like when I was in high school. I remember when I was in high school, I once became a national champion in 800 meters. I went to East Africa, I brought bronze. I became the national champion in prison championship, 400 and 800 meters. We went for the nationals. I became a national champion in 800 meters. I went to Accra, Ghana. I think that was my first senior championship. I became number 4 in the finals. We went to Cameroon. I brought silver medal. Sasa ni kama klasi yangu ilikuwa track. Nilishindwa na hiyo klasi ingine ni track. It's not an easy job, let me say so. You have to balance the family affairs and the track affairs, you know. Mtu anakutaka kwa uwanja, mtoto anakutaka kwa nyumba. So it's not an easy thing, but you have to sacrifice a lot.
Know your heroes. 30% of proceeds go towards nurturing talent at grassroots level.
Ngoi kastai kiageri kyo aye kakita chaganyin kokeny ketestai tugul tetetab KASS kwanetab kotsop KASS FM International round kotsop kasi en wikit aye chobotin kwanet tarikit 24 en Momut agere chobotin kwanet en conference nebo karibu online en ngwony komugul ketestai machang kemwoe kwanetab kotsop round kale ngololen kandoinatet ngwai kandoinat age tugul komache kandoin netindo qualities fulani ngeker ko ngomnon nebo kandoinat ma chi nenyone buch kole kandoiywak kimae kenai ngot kongen ne kondo komae kwanet kokararan chonitet wany ni mache iku president konyolu ingen ne ak ne ak iu ne ak ne ako kiyai ne ak ne sikotok kele imuchi man kasit non imwoe non imache ani mache iku governor